All right. ETM Hotel, welcome in peace. This is your brother Wujao Menev Maat, and welcome to the Seshu channel. And today is Freestyle Friday. Today is Friday, and you know what we do on Fridays? We freestyle. So we want to um, try to make this consistent again, as we used to do in the past. So we are here again. We are back. Last week, we kind of kicked it off again last week with the freestyle, and so we're back again today. All right, tonight. So appreciate anyone who has tuned in and ready for some freestyling. So tonight we want to take advantage of not only the freestyle itself, but also for anyone out there who may be beginners or need refreshing, brushing up on a few things. This is also helpful for you, and also it allows you to maybe ask some questions about the language, and whatever wherever you are in your studies, feel free to ask questions about it, and I'll do my best to engage and answer the questions. All right. So again, appreciate anyone who's tuned in, and if you're tuned in, say something. Drop a greeting in the chat so I can see. Make sure no one's hiding in the bushes, in the corner, the corner of the eye, watching or whatever. I like to shout everybody out who's tuned in, and I appreciate those who may watch this in the archive after we're done and it's recorded. All right. So also have my co-host, Sanet Emiket, Aku Kenshai Akenyi. And actually, let me get her up there on the screen. Emiket, do you have any greetings? Any?
Hotep, poop. How about E? Just chilling in the car. And yeah, make yourself known in the chat. I know it's freestyle, so it's gonna be fun. I think like last week, if you watched last week's freestyle, it was a lot of fun. So don't get scared. Just make yourself known in the chat, and let's have some fun.
All right, all right. Okay. So we're gonna kick it off in a hot second, but I see that we have some people tuned in, and I noticed that no one has typed in the chat yet. So I don't know if that's because it's Freestyle Friday, because in the past when we used to have Freestyle Fridays, people would watch but not really participate, and I try to pull people's participation out of them, to get involved, and so I just want to make it known that this is a safe zone. We all make mistakes. We all can be wrong and things like that. This is not a competition, or you know not a shaming thing that goes on. So feel free to participate. Feel free to make yourself known, and all of that good stuff. Because that's what this is for. We have fun. That's why we do it this way, Freestyle Friday, where we don't use any books, straight from memory. It's fun. It allows you to recall anything that you may know, may not know, learn something, and sharpen your skills. All right, you can see where you are with different things, and and we don't do anything too difficult at all, because we don't have a lot of time at our disposal when we do Freestyle Fridays. So it's not like we're gonna have a 10-hour. This is not class. This is not like a language class. We're kind of having fun. It's a mixture, having fun, looking at glyphs, trying to solve the glyphs. Transliterate, translate, all of that good stuff. So want to say peace to Philightentis. That's the only one I see that has actually typed something. So peace to the brother Philightentis. Appreciate anybody who's tuned in. All right, Philightentis, where are you located on the East Coast? What time zone? Just what time zone are you in? Just real quick. And while he's answering that, now I have been contacted, and usually I will share questions or any issue if I'm contacted like one-on-one by anyone, especially if I get the same question 3 or more times or something similar 3 or more times, then I will address it in, in a teaching moment type of scenario. Like, when we're live, I'll try to address things so we can all learn from other people's either their statements or questions that I receive, whether it's by email or Facebook Messenger and things like that, or even on Facebook itself in our Facebook group. All right, so I expect everyone to join our Facebook group, definitely. And even our website, saberuniversity.com, also welcome to join that. Even if you're not taking any course or whatever, it's a community, and we will be much more active on the website to try to make it grow. Like-minded people where we can actually volley back and forth and learn from each other. All right, so now the thing that I've been contacted about, like I said, 3 or more times, then I'll bring it up while I'm live, is people were wondering why we stopped doing the Freestyle Fridays in the past. Why we stopped. We were doing them consistent with consistency, and we kind of just stopped. And they were wondering why, and they were supposing that because we don't get support or whatever the case is that the reason why we stopped? And so that was kind of like a roundabout question that was asked a few times of me. So just want to kind of address that the answer is no, we didn't stop because of the lack of support, because we were consistent and we were pretty much rolling. It kind of grew. We were having fun and everything. So it wasn't because of lack of support. And by support, they were talking about monetary, financial support or whatever the case is. And so, and the people who addressed me with that, I answered them individually, but just wanted to bring it up here. That so, and along with that, people have been asking how can they support, because they, the thing is that we're not live as much as we used to because there's no monetary value in it for us. And so so people have been asking me, how can they support? We don't have a Cash App on the screen. We don't have I'm not even sure if the super chat is available. I don't even know. I don't think so. The super chat or whatever. So they've been asking. So to that, I will let everyone know, hopefully those who are listening now and in the archives, that we will be setting all those things up for those who want to support, and we appreciate the support and everything. We're definitely not going to turn away any support at all. But in the past, we've never really set those things up. We at the time we just didn't have a reason to set any of those things up. All right, so that's the short and skinny of it. But in the meantime, and at all times, what I've always been telling people is that if you want to support in any way, form or fashion, like I said, I'm not going to turn away any support at all. But in the meantime and in between time, to support, you can support by purchasing the books, the beginner's book, the beginner's Sesh Netcher book. It's available on Amazon, and maybe Imicat, if you could post the links in the chats, just so it'll be here. The rebuttal book, the penmanship book, those are ways that you can support. Even if you've already purchased them for yourself, maybe a long while ago when they were first published, you can purchase another one and give it to somebody who you may think is interested, may or may not be interested in these kinds of things, these issues and these studies. So, that's always been available. People can support that way. That way it's like a trade. It's like a barter type of thing. You get something for your support. All right. And you can learn and everything, because we wrote those. The beginner's book is a textbook written in a textbook style. It's used for the beginner's classes. The rebuttal book is all about the decipherment. It was refuting and rebuttaling Walter Williams and those of like minds who feel that the Egyptian hieroglyphic writing system has not been deciphered We addressed all the claims that were made in that book, hands down. And to this day, no one has refuted or written something in counter of the book. And we did that book, I believe, in 2016, I want to say. Is that right, Emicat? 2016?
I think so. Let me just quickly check because I have it right here. Yeah, 2016.
All right, so 2016. So all the way back then. So we're in 2024. So that's ages ago in YouTube time. That's ages ago. So that book is available. And then the Penmanship book, Emicat, that's Emicat authored or wrote that book. And all these books are available. Okay, so those are ways that anybody can support anytime at any time. Okay, until we set up something. Like I said, I'm just kind of addressing that, and I appreciate people asking how to support, because like I said, I'm not turning away any support, and we would appreciate it, because we do want to do other things and actually get more resources to share, and we will be more active after obtaining more resources to be able to share resources. I mean reference material, books, because I'm gonna tell you, these books are not cheap. The books, you got your everyday, you do have cheaper books out there about Egypt or the culture and things like that, but the actual scholarly works, the reference materials, these hardback books that you have to go to the library to get otherwise, those things are expensive. They add up very, very quickly. I'll show y'all. I can show you all my wish list, and add all of that stuff up. It's a lot. So we will be setting something up. All right, because enough people have been asking, and so that's that. We will be setting something up. So, all right, just want to say that. All right, peace to the brother Donnie. See, brother Donnie is in the building. Okay, so we're gonna dive in Freestyle Friday. So actually, let me make my screen larger. Okay, so again, got that out the way. Again, welcome to Freestyle Friday. It's your brother Bujau Min Eb Erdi Ma'at, along with Sanet Emicat Aku Kinshaya Kinyi. And we're going to just dive straight on in. This is our second consecutive week of Freestyle Friday. So if you were here last Friday, you will remember that we went over this particular image. All right, just a quick review. We went over this image here, and what I did after Freestyle Friday, it wasn't for the Freestyle Friday. What we did is that we recreated the glyphs so that they're very clear. So if you all would like to take a moment and make sure nothing's on the screen, you all can take a screenshot of this. Take a screenshot of this. This is from last week. Okay, this is not what we're doing tonight, but this is from last week. These are the glyphs that have been recreated. That way, in your own time, and I numbered each section. So as you can see here, I know you all can't see my cursor, so let me fix that real quick. Get my cursor back on the screen. There we go. So now you should be able to see my cursor. So as you can see, I numbered each section. So this is number 1, and then we got 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9. So on your own time, you could practice. You can translate each section and number it, and go from there. I also reproduced the 4 calves and the glyphs that were in front of each one. Saab, Desher, Hedge, and Kim, etc. All right, so make sure you all get a screenshot of that, and make sure that you join our Facebook group, because I posted this in the Facebook group. And peace to the brother Robert Rand is in the building as well. So I did post this in the Facebook group, also to have fun with. People, can practice there. All right, so that was from last week. And so now, this week we're going to dive right into it. As a reminder, every freestyle we're going to always remind people of the what we call the tep hesab, the correct method in transliterating and translating. Okay, so step one is 4 steps. Step one is an observation step. In step one, what you do is you determine the direction in which the glyphs are to be read. All right, and basically there's 2 answers. There's 2 values for step one. You want to determine if you're going to read them left to right or right to left, and if it's in columns or rows. So you have direction and orientation. So that's easy. Step 2 is a data collection step. And what you do at step 2 is you identify and document each individual glyph. Now, I always say this, as a beginner, just starting out, that is a tedious step. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But as you do this more and more and more, that step will become exponentially faster and faster for you, because you'll be able to identify glyphs on sight just by looking at them, and you won't have to look them up. Step 3 is a pattern recognition step. So you're going to recognize the grouping of glyphs, like group the glyphs into the patterns to form words. And then those patterns or those groups, you'll be able to look them up in the dictionaries. All right, so that's step 3. And then step 4, and then out of dictionaries, you get the meaning of the individual word, rough estimate meaning. And I have to stress that, rough estimate meanings of these words. And we'll talk about that more later. Step 4, to come away with a sensible translation, you have to apply grammar. You have to understand the grammar of ancient Egyptian, and you definitely have to understand grammar of English, because that's the target language that you're translating into. Okay, so you have to be able to, make sure you are keeping in with the grammatical rules of both languages. All right, so those are the 4 steps. And this is the same, and and like I said, you all may want to take a screenshot of this so you have it. And then also, this is saying the same thing. I just arranged it a bit different, and I include the tools of each of those steps. So step 1, the tools you need, all you need is your eyes. Okay, so that's pure lookership. Step 1 is lookership. Step 2, you will need a sign list or a glyph list. And the standard in Egyptology is the Gardner sign list. All right. It's everywhere, so it's not hard to find. It's everywhere. Everyone reproduces it. It's in a lot of books. Step 3, the tools you're going to need are dictionaries. As far as dictionaries go, I encourage everyone to get all of them. Get all of the dictionaries that you can. All right, that you can afford, and you can. Even if they're in foreign languages, Egyptian to a foreign language other than English. Get them all. Having said that, if you are a beginner, novice, or what have you, I always suggest starting off with Mark Vigus Dictionary, the Mark Vigus Egyptian Dictionary, which is a public PDF free dictionary. And that's mainly because of the way that it's arranged. Okay, it's in the order based on the Gardner codes, and they're in alphabetical order based on the Gardner codes. All right, it's very, very beginner friendly. It's the best beginner dictionary to use. All right, but get them all. But use Mark Vigus until Mark Vigus Dictionary is like the training wheels. So until you get really into it, you could take the training wheels off and start diving in to the other dictionaries. And then lastly, in order to have the best quality translations, you definitely have to have an understanding of the grammar. And to do that, you're going to need grammars. So there are a lot of grammars out there. So anyone, more up-to-date ones, recent ones, are the ones that, any one of those you can use. All right, and become familiar with. Okay, so those are the steps. Now, for Freestyle Fridays, we don't use any of these 3, the glyph sign list, dictionaries, or grammars, but we will use our eyes. All right, so that's the difference between freestyle. That's what makes this fun and freestyle, because we're not going to get bogged down in any books while we're doing it this way. Okay, and knowing that, by the way, we're not going to come to any final conclusions while freestyling. That's unscientific, and I don't encourage people to do that. We're having fun, and this is all tentative until you look further into it, and then, you have some concrete conclusions. Okay, so hopefully everybody understands all of that good stuff. Now, so remember, last week we did this. Now, if you remember this, I chose this because of the, fairly recent topics about Black Egypt, and in the conversations about Black Egypt or the Egyptians being black and so on and so forth, those anachronistic arguments and conversations that people are having, what comes up in those conversations is the fact that the Egyptians dealt with cattle and bulls, and the cattle and bulls are black, and for some reason that's being associated with the skin color of the people or making the people black and so on. And so, because this bottom calf right here has the word Kim in front of it, and it's a black calf, Hedge, white calf, Desher, red, and Sob, multicolored or speckled calf. For some reason, these three are ignored, and the black calf is focused on, and then the Egyptians must be black because of this black calf, and so on and so forth, or what have you. But that's why I chose this, so that we can actually see what the glyphs are saying. But this is a vignette, an illustration that pertains to a ritual called driving the four calves in the temple. All right. And it is a ritual rite, one of the rites that are in rituals that are performed by the king during the said festival, among other rituals and rites that are done. And for those who may not know, the said festival is a festival mainly for the king to display his continuous competency to rule, his or her competency to rule, strength in mind and in body to be able to rule. All right, it's like a reaffirmation of their current kingship. All right, the BT part of Nisut BT. All right, so this is one of the rituals. So for tonight, we're going to deal with this one. All right, so I want you all to get a good look at the zoomed out image here. And so we're going to be dealing with the glyphs right here. I'm going to get my trusty arrow. We're going to be dealing with these glyphs around in this area right here. We're not going to do the whole thing, but we're dealing with these. I'm zoomed out because I want you all to see, the zoomed out context of where all these figures are and the glyphs are and things like that. But this is what we're going to be dealing with now. All right. So let's see, who else do we have in the chat real quick? Just do a chat check. So peace to the brother Christopher Withers is in the building. This is the only person I see outside of who I greeted before. Again, appreciate anybody tuned in. If you're tuned in, say your greeting in the chat so everybody can know that you're here. Okay. Now, to give a little bit of a backdrop of this image here. This image is from the Red Chapel of Hatshepsut. All right. The Red Chapel of Hatshepsut. Okay. So these are, you see some damage done. The Red Chapel has been kind of preserved the best that it can be. And so there's a lot of damage to it, but for our sake of what we're doing, we're pretty good on these glyphs here being clear. Okay, so and this is from Karnak. All right, the red chapel of Hatshepsut and Karnak. All right. So now the portion here that we're going to be dealing with, I have it blown up here. So maybe somebody in the chat, let me see, maybe I can blow it up a little bit more. Just right where the feet are, right about there. And slide everything over. Okay. So you all in the chat, somebody in the chat, let me know if this is clear enough for our freestyle exercise. Is this big enough and clear enough? Somebody let me know in the chat. Maybe I'll scoot it up a little bit. Somebody let me know if it's big enough and clear enough. And I know there's a slight delay. Is it big enough and clear enough? Let me know. Yes, no, maybe so. Yes, no, maybe so. Now, while I am waiting for somebody to kind of confirm that for me, that the previous week, last week, we went over the other ritual because there were other claims along with that. The brother Reggie, I'm sure that a lot of you all may be familiar with our good brother Reggie. He had made some claims about the ritual, and I had to address the claims because he had, was incorrect on some of the claims, and he was kind of addressing some of the statements that I've made in the past about the ritual, and the brothers were just wrong, so I had to correct that. So that's that video is in our archives as well. It's not from last Friday. It was before last Friday. Okay, so that's okay. I see the chat. So you all saying it's clear. All right, so let's dive in now. Let me get my arrow. Okay, so okay, the first thing I want to just bring to everyone's attention is when you're doing things like this, not even freestyling, when you're trying to translate, and you want to take your time, you always have to understand that when it comes to monumental inscriptions and things, even in papyri, the figures, the illustrations, the figures you see there, the other objects you may see around text, those complement the text. So the number one rule, and I want everybody to understand this, is you never divorce the text from the pictures or the vignettes, as they're called, okay, or illustrations. Never divorce the two from each other. All right, they are a marriage that is made forever. They are married, permanently married. Okay, never divorce the two. Okay, so, and think about it. A lot of misinformation that's floating around the internet about ancient Egypt and monumental inscriptions or whatever is mainly due to people making that mistake of divorcing the text from the illustrations because they can't read the text. Most people can't read the text, and because of that fact, they'll look at the images and they'll start guessing. They'll start guessing at what the images represent and what's going on, what the people are doing, when the text around the images will tell you directly, explicitly what's going on, or a roundabout, because they're illustrations of something that's going on in the text, even if it's figurative. Okay, so that's a rule. I want to make sure everyone understands that. Never divorce the two. Okay, so this figure here, we see his arm stretched out. He's holding something. This figure here, both arms stretched out, holding something in the hand. Whatever the case is. Somebody may say, okay, this person is doing jumping jacks. This is like an ancient Egyptian aerobic exercise and whatnot. I mean, somebody could say that, you know, not knowing anything from anything. Like, oh yeah, this figure is doing jumping jacks, or you know, dancing to some music. You know, those Egyptian style poses and breakdancing or whatever. But anyway, never do that. All right. So now I don't have these sections numbered to make it a little easier to kind of reference it while we do this. So I'm going to put my arrow on sections that we're doing. So we're going to start here. So all of these glyphs right in here, this is where we're going to start. So remember, step 1, determine the direction in which the glyphs are to be read. So I would say all of these glyphs at the top right here, what direction should they be read? That's my question to the chat. So, you know, those of you who are new to our Freestyle Fridays, I definitely engaged the chat. As a matter of fact, I'm going to post the link on the panel if you want to come on the panel and speak. If that's easier for you, then you can definitely do so. So let me put the link here. And if not, you know, I will be engaging the chat. It's just that when I engage the chat, there's a slight delay. All right, we all know about the lag. Okay, so let me pin that to the top. If I can move this heart out the way. Okay, so the panel link is pinned to the top. So that's optional. If anybody want to come on the panel, you're welcome to. Okay, so I see that we have Donnie answers first out the gate and says right to left, and that is correct. Right to left. You're going to read them from the right to the left. Now here's a separate question. The glyphs in the top row, what direction are the glyphs facing? What direction are the glyphs facing? Yep, Robert Rand has it correct in terms of the first question. But my second question is, what direction are the glyphs facing? What direction are the glyphs facing? Yep, and Donnie says to the right. All right, good enough. All right, that's me checking to make sure y'all not just getting the answers right by luck. All right, so and that's it. That's all step 1 it involves, and Robert Rand is correct. The glyphs themselves are facing to the right, okay, but you're going to read them from the right to the left. And easy way to remember that is that you're going to face the glyphs as if you're having a conversation with them. Okay, that's the direction you read them. So we're going to be reading from right to left. All right, and that's it. That's the extent of step 1. And okay, so that's all the glyphs on the top. Now the glyphs here in this. Oh, now remember when I said step 1, it involves 2 answers really. So you have direction, which we determined right to left, but then you have to deal with the orientation. Are they in rows or columns? And so in some instances, many instances, there's going to be a mixture. There's going to be some glyphs in rows. There going to be some glyphs in columns. And even there's some glyphs going to be left to right. Some glyphs are going to be right to left in the same picture that you're dealing with. All right. So for example, this one. So this set right here, up here is in a row. Right here is in a column. The Shinu is in the column, of course, and so on. So it's a mixture. So just be mindful of that. All right. So moving on, that was the top row. Here, these are clearly in columns, so I'll give you all that answer. These are clearly all 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4 are in columns. But what direction are these to be read? What direction are these 4 to be read in? I gave you all the orientation, which are columns, but what direction are we going to read them? See who's gonna drop the first answer for that. What direction? Now Donnie says top to bottom. No, that's not that you're wrong. Oh, Robert, both of y'all, Robert and Donnie said. Remember, direction. The only answers to the question about direction is left to right or right to left. Because all the glyphs you're going to read from top to bottom. So that's not an answer. Then that's not wrong. So I'm not saying that that's wrong. It's correct. We do read them from top to bottom. But that's not a response to that question, because you're always going to read them from top to bottom. Even as you're reading from right to left, like this top section, as you're reading from right to left, you're going to be simultaneously going from top to bottom. So that's always a given. Okay, I didn't mention that, but that's always a given. But my question is, even though this is a column, what direction are we going to read? Because remember, there's glyphs that are side by side. There's glyphs that are side by side in the column. So we have to know the direction. All right. So peace to Get the Point. Welcome to the channel. And that's correct, right to left. And Donnie has a correct, right to left. Okay, so that's easy enough. But that's important to understand that, though. Even though it's in columns, you're still going to read them right to left as you're going down. So if there are two glyphs side by side, you're going to read the one on the right first, and then and then the left one, because you're reading from right to left. You're going this way as you're going down. Okay, so always remember that. All right. So that's all of step one. Step one is out the way. We're done. Bam. We are done. Now we're going to step two. Because it's Freestyle Fridays, and I don't want to make these videos longer than they should be. I do want to make them a nice length where people don't get intimidated and see how long these videos are. We're not going to identify every glyph in this image, but you will have to if you sit down and do this. But for the sake of freestyling, we're going to identify some of them. Now, I will say that by the time anyone makes attempt to transliterate and translate anything ancient Egyptian, you should already have under your belt the memorization of what's called the monoliterals. Some people call them uniliterals. Mono and uni both referring to one or single. Okay? And what those are glyphs that represent single consonants. Single consonants. And there are 25 of them. And you have to commit those to memory. There's no way around it. No sugarcoating that. There's no microwaving that. You have to commit those to memory. From the vulture to the cobra. That's what we say. From the vulture to the cobra. From the vulture to the cobra. All right? Now, I say that because the only glyphs that we should have a need to identify are the glyphs that are not monoliterals, because those should already be committed to memory. So very quickly, I'm going to point out some of the monoliterals. And while I do this, I want you all to start looking and identifying other glyphs other than monoliterals, because I'm going to engage the chat again. So just quickly, some of the monoliterals that are seen. So I'm scanning across. I'm pointing out some monoliterals, which these are glyphs that you should already know. So very quickly, we have this bread loaf here. We have the cobra in repose. Those are two monoliteral glyphs. What else do we see? Same thing here. So we have the same two here. Going down here. Now, other than that, I don't see any other monoliterals. Coming down, we have the twisted flax. We have the arm. We have the bread loaf again. We have the open mouth, which is a monoliteral. Open mouth again. Bread loaf here. Going over here, we have the folded cloth. We have a water ripple glyph here, monoliteral. We have the leg, foot. We have a door bolt here, monoliteral. Bread loaf again, open mouth. We have the tethering rope right here where my arrow is. Another water ripple. Looking over here, water ripple. We have the horn viper. That's a monoliteral. And we have a bread loaf here. And we have a quail chick all the way down here. Okay, so pretty much I have just identified all of the monoliterals in this image. Okay, that we're dealing with. And I'm doing that because everybody should already know those. Okay? Before you even sit down and do this, you should already know that. So that makes it easier. Now you don't have to worry about those, right? So now, starting up here, because I can't hear you all, just engage in the chat. Just in this first top section, what I want you all to do is to point out any glyphs that you recognize, and this is open to everybody. And then I'll find it with my arrow, and we'll just do it like that. So, let me know any glyph. So let's do a section by section. So in this section right here, like in this area right here, does anybody recognize any glyphs? If so, just type it. All right, just type it. Okay, Donnie represents the beat. Recognize the beetle, which is over here for the first time, right here. But Donnie, you said what it is, but how is that glyph transliterated? Give us the transliteration for that single glyph. All right, so make sure you do that too. Anybody else? Any recognize any other glyphs? So this was Donnie's answer. And Merdy Bontis asked a question. Do you know what type of tool were used for the carving of the glyphs? Yes, the chisel was used. In terms of what was the chisel, whether it was copper and things like that, I'll let Emiket. We're gonna, just so you know, we're gonna do a show where we're gonna talk more about the scribal and the drafts, draftman and the process of carving these and painting and stuff like that. We're gonna dedicate a show to that. All right, so just be on the lookout for that. All right, and then definitely be on the lookout for that, because we'll address that and elaborate on that. Okay, that's Emiket's that's Emiket's lane right there. Okay, so so Donnie said wait. All right, so Donnie, you have for the beetle you have HPR. Now that is not quite correct. So you want to revisit that. HPR. You want to revisit that. Chris says Nefer, which is this glyph here that I'm pointing at right now. Okay. So that's that one. Another one identified, Netcher, which is this glyph here. Everybody should be familiar with that. That's, of course, that is God. That is God. No, they translate that usually as God. Here's another one. Here's another Nefer there. What else we got? Okay, Chris says Neb, which is the basket. It's the basket. Basket. All right. Okay, yeah. So Donnie said I just didn't type manual decodage. Yeah, but Donnie, this is it's important to type it in either transliteration method. Remember, there's two main this is for everybody. There are two main transliteration methods. One is called diacritic, which involves all the points and dots and little marks that you see around letters. Then the other one is called manual decodage. Manual decodage is case sensitive, and it was invented mainly to avoid people from having to, do special things with your keyboard to type out the diacritic method. Okay, so Donnie, when you type HPR, um, in a diacritic method, that H is supposed to have a curve under it, and because we don't see the curve under your H, that is incorrect. Okay, and so that's how specific we have to be. So it's better. The reason why manual decodage is great is because it's case sensitive. You could type it out. You don't have to do anything special with the keyboard. So XPR would be manual decodage, but the diacritic way would be the H with the curve under it, PR. Okay, and we have to understand that. Okay, so we want to make sure that we keep that consistency going. Okay, so let us go to another question by Sobek. So peace to Sobek. Welcome to the channel. The question is, were the scribes also priests? Now that's a good question, and I say that because like years ago we actually did a show on the word priest and how what we think of priest today is not a direct match for what the ancient Egyptians had going on. A priest. And so we have to just be mindful of that because it does make a difference. So now to answer your question, a priest is somebody with a very important job or responsibility. That's what it boils down to. And so the scribes, because the scribes are explicitly described and have a word for scribe, which is seshu or zakah, either one, or sesh, is one who actually scribes or carves and everything, or writes, to write. You do have priests, you do have people that had important jobs that also knew how to read and write. But there are specific types of jobs that these ancient Egyptians had that are being translated as priests. So, for example, you have the Sem, priest. But what's interesting is that there's no word in Egyptian language for priest. So what scholars do is they translate the word Sem as priest. But whenever you see it written, they'll say Sem, priest. So it's like, so if Sem means priest, then they're saying priest, priest. But that's not what it means. Then you have another type of priest, Wab, priest, and they'll say Wab, priest. And they'll do that for priests because of this difficulty, the fact that the word priest doesn't exist in the Egyptian language. And there's not a one-for-one. There's not a match for the concept of priest coming out of the Catholic Church and, the priest of the Catholic Church and stuff like that. See, so just be mindful of that. And I don't want to be all long-winded for this question, but I, to kind of understand what you're asking, there are people in these positions in ancient Egypt that did know how to read and write, but to be a scribe was an actual profession, and it was a dedicated profession. Okay, because carving those things and going through the process, which we will have a future show to kind of go over that process, was a dedicated thing, and it was a very lofty profession. That's like a scholar back in that day. That's one of those bougie positions, to be a scribe. Okay, so anyway, hopefully I helped you out with that. Let's see, keep going down. Peace to Kimway 221. I'm gonna assume that was Zoo 221. Got a name change going on. Right, I can hear Uncle now. Okay, see what I said the word God. Oh. All right, let's see. Yeah, Donnie. Yeah, even free. See, Donnie, freestyle doesn't mean slack style. We not slacking. We just we just having fun with it. We can have fun, but we gotta keep it correct. All right. So let's see.
Uh, Real quick for Donnie, just so it makes sense. See, if you just say the word H, lowercase h, p, r, and you intend maybe, because we can't tell whether you intended it to have, to be, because when you look at the diacritic marks, there's different kinds of H's. They're not plain. There's one that has a dot. There's one that has like a curve underneath. There's one that has like a straight line underneath. So if you just type H, nobody's going to know what you intend. The only assumption everybody's going to make is you literally mean H in the manual decodage, because that's the only place you're going to find H like that on its own. And
Okay.
then because of the fact that you can't really type those diacritic marks, that's why it's just advisable to just use manual decodage, because it's very simple. So if it's Kepler, then instead of trying to figure out how you're going to type that particular type of H, you just type lowercase x.
Yep. Okay, there you have it. And see, remember that's the purpose of manual decodage. So let's not make it any more difficult than it has have to be. Yep. All right. So we deal with XPR. But I understood, and I knew what you meant though, Donnie. So it wasn't like you were wrong because of what you intended, but we have to stay sharp on that. Okay, so we identified a couple of these glyphs. Let me see. Let me go. What about this glyph? I'm just gonna point to some glyphs and see if you all can identify 'em. What about this glyph now? I'm pointing to, and I know there's a excuse me. I know there's a little lag, so I'm gonna talk while I'm waiting for y'all to answer these questions. But this glyph right here, who can Donnie got it already. All right. So for those who are new to the Freestyle Fridays and those who may be watching in the archives, I want y'all to know that we do have some nerds in the chat. All right. Donnie is one of the nerds. Christopher Withers is one of the nerds, and you're gonna see them jump out the window. Not jump out the window, but jump off the starting block quick. All right. These are quick shooters. All right, so let's point to another one. Now, everybody and their mother should know this one. All right, I'm expecting everybody in the chat to tell me what this one is. What glyph is that? Okay, so Christopher says, "See, that's what I mean. See see, as soon as I say we got nerds, that we got the nerds nerding. Okay, we got the nerd guys are actually nerding." Me is the milk jug. Yep, that's what it is, milk jug. All right. So everybody and their mother should know what this glyph is and how to transliterate it. Everybody should know that. I mean, you could walk into a lot of jewelry stores and see that glyph. All right. It is definitely prevalent in the community. Okay, so both Chris and Donnie said what it is, but how do you transliterate it? Yep, there you go. ANX. Unk. All right. That is the unk. All right. So let's just do this to make it easy on everybody, and to make it consistent. We're gonna give the transliterations in manual decodage because I don't want to confuse anyone. So what Christopher gave was manual decodage, A and X. Y would be in curve under it. But they're valid. Both of them will be absolutely correct. We're just gonna stick to one. One more. Let's see this one. What's that glyph right there? Remember, we're on step 2. We're identifying some glyphs, and I'm just want to kind of go through this. Don't want to be too long. What about this glyph right here? Everybody should know that one too. Everybody should know that one. All right, I see Donnie came out the blocks, but there you go again, Donnie. You got to get your manual decodage up. So yep, Chris has it. Capital D, Jed. But I know Donnie knows what it is because he said it's a pillar. But yeah, Donnie, remember you got to get your manual decodage. We're gonna deal with manual decodage. All right. All right. So it's Jed. That's the Jed pillar. And no, it is not an electrical tower that you see on the road or whatever. You know how you got those high voltage electrical lines running from running. It's not that. All right. That it is not. All right, so we're going to move down here. Let's see if we can identify some of these. All right, let's see what. Oh, I forgot the reed leaf when I was talking about the monoliterals. We got the reed leaf right there. What about this one? What about that one? What about that glyph? We'll identify that one and maybe one more, and then we're going to move to step 3. We're going to try to identify some of these words. Okay. Yep. Both Kimway and Donnie are correct. When. That's what it's transliterated as, and Donnie is telling us what it is. That's correct. It's a hare or rabbit. Hare, rabbit. All right. One more. There are more, but I'm just trying to pick one more. Let's go with this one. These upstretched, or I'm not even gonna say what it is. So you all tell me what's that? What's this glyph here that I'm pointing at now? And we see there's 3 of them. There are 3. What glyph is that? Everybody should have an idea of that. All right, see, Donnie's on point. Yep, there it is. Ka. All right. Donnie even gave the word for all 3 of them. Kau. So that's the glyph. Ka. All right. K and then a capital A. Or if you're doing diacritic, it'd be K and then the diacritic 3. Looks like number 3. All right. So that's it. Then there's more, but like I said, I don't want to. Kenway said that's the touchdown glyph. Yep. Yep. Football season, everybody's familiar with that glyph. The touchdown glyph. Touchdown. All right. Maybe that's a good way for people to memorize that. Okay, now there's other glyphs as well. This is a hoe. Just real quick to go over it. This is a hoe. Now, what's interesting? Now, I'm not sure if y'all can see this, but this glyph right here. Now, you see this glyph up here. Let's point. Let me point to that one. Okay, I'm gonna give this one away. That glyph is a flat strip of land. Okay, it's a flat strip, and sometimes you'll see it with 3 small dots under it, but that's not always the case. So it's you either they do it with the 3 dots or without. Okay, so 3 dots are not mandatory. But this is the word ta. This transliterated as ta. T capital A manual decodage. Ta. But I'm pointing this glyph out because this glyph right here looks very similar to it. And I don't know if you all can see it on your screen well, which is why I'm giving this glyph away. So this glyph right here is not the same as this glyph. Even though it may look like that. But notice, you see this little thing right here? This little coil, okay, this little coil right there in the middle of it. So I don't want anybody to think that that's the word ta. All right, that's a coil right there, going around almost like a crooked number 9. Okay, so just want y'all to know that. Okay, so remember our steps. So that was step 2. Remember, step 2 is identify and document each individual glyph, noting the Gardner code, its description, and how it can possibly function. That's all of step 2. So we briefly did that, freestyle, and live. We're not going to do that. We're not going to even open the sign list, but we just went through the step 2. Okay, so remember step 3 now. So what we're going to do is we're going to recognize patterns and detect groups of glyphs making up words to be searched in dictionaries, but we're not going to use dictionaries. And one thing about this part or this step that will help us out is when we can recognize determinatives. So real briefly, determinatives are terminal glyphs, meaning that they come at the end. They terminate words. Okay? Not every word in the Egyptian language will have them. So you have to know that as well. But when they do, they come at the end of the word. Hence, they are terminal. They're terminal glyphs. They terminate the word. Some words have multiple determinatives. So don't think that every word just has one. Okay, some words have multiple determinatives. And they're called determinatives pretty much as a nickname because they help determine the meaning of the word. Now, the more technical way of describing these glyphs is as a classifier, which a lot of scholars have opted to do, call them classifiers. Semograms, you got phonograms, logograms, ideograms, and so on. Semograms, which means that they help with meaning. The word sem, we get the word semantic from, which means meaning, and so on. All right. Okay, so now, starting up here, let's just, now, on Freestyle, I always say this, on Freestyle Fridays, like the way we're doing it, we pretty much have to combine step 3 and 4 together. Because we're not going to go in the dictionary and pull meanings of the words and then apply grammar that we normally would. But on Freestyle, we pretty much have to combine that. So I guess we don't. We could take it between 2 steps. So in this top row, I want to know from the chat what words does, and anywhere up here. So I'm expanding the thing. Don't worry about. I'm pointing to the whole section up here. This whole top section. What I want anybody in the chat to do, because I want more people to participate. What I want from the chat is to identify any words that you see, any complete words that you see. Just type it out again in manual decodage. All right. And I see Donnie has basically given that whole column here that I'm pointing at. And he has Netcher, Nefer, then he has Neb, and then Tawi. Netcher, Nefer, Neb, Tawi. All right. What else? Does anybody have anything else? Brother Chris has the word D, which is here. And over here. And by the way, that's what they call a conical loaf. And, most people that I've talked to, they identified it, even though this is not it, but to help them remember, like how I give the Newt symbol, I say it looks like an X-Men belt buckle. It's a circle with an X in it. This looks like a Native American teepee. It looked like a teepee. It looked like a triangle teepee with the opening. We go in there, you go inside. That's what it looks like. But it's a conical loaf. All right. Let's see what else. I'm trying to get what everybody else is saying. Okay, Kim Wei says Netcher. All right, he's definitely advanced down. So he's down here. All right. So hold up. I'm trying to stick up top for now. Let's just kind of stick up here. I'm at the top. Yeah, Kimway is like, man, y'all are too slow. I'm going to the bottom. I'm knocking out the bottom. But that's right, Kimway. That's correct. But I'm trying to let's just deal with the top for a second. Let's see, Ma'at. Let's see, Chris says Ma'at. Yep, there's Ma'at right here. That is a seated Ma'at. Okay, seated Ma'at. The giveaway is the feather at the top of the head. Even though on this image you may not be able to see it very well, but that's a feather on top. But that's Ma'at. All right, so we got Ma'at there. Let's see what else we're going for. Phalaintis says, but what does it mean? Okay, just clarify, Phalaintis. Just clarify what are you asking about as far as meaning? Okay, and let's see what else we got going on. Donnie said I'm gonna fall back. He's trying to tell Chris. Okay, Chris says jet, and this is here. So the cobra, from the cobra, these three glyphs right here, the cobra, the raised bread loaf, and this flat strip is spelling the word jet. We're not going over meanings just yet. We're just identifying these words in their transliterated form. Okay, so we have jet, identified me. We got Ma'at going on. Donnie did all of these here. Netcher, Nefer, Neb, and then Tawi. So what else? Donnie identified Kepper before. What else? Oh, so Phalaintis, what does it mean? Okay, we're gonna get to that in 1 second. Phalaintis, the conical bread loaf. We're gonna get right to that in 1 second. I'm looking for some more words. Anybody? Let's see. What other word can we? Well, it's not too many other words there. Okay, what's this right here? The circle with the stroke under it. What's that word? The disc with the stroke under it. Somebody give me that. I'm sure somebody can recognize that. Anybody tell me what this disc, right? Not this disc, not the damaged hole. This disc right here and the stroke under it. What is that? As soon as somebody can tell me that, we'll move on. I need my Jeopardy. I need my Jeopardy music. I need to find that. This is when we play the Jeopardy music right now. Anybody? Anybody? See, this is okay. Yep, Christopher says Ra. That's correct. All right, so we have Ra in the building going on here. Okay, so that's Ra. All right. All right, so now let's deal with translations, meaning I'm still at the top. Let's go through it because, so Donnie, because Donnie, you gave this whole section here, this first section here. What does this mean? You had Netcher, Nefer, Neb, Tawi. What does it mean? And by the way, for those who just stepped in, participating, the panel link is at the top. If you want to come and speak, and talk these things through, feel free. You're welcome to do so. Okay, so Donnie says, perfect God, Lord of the two lands. All right, that is reasonable. Now, let me give you all a FYI side note about translations. Okay. Matter of fact, this is more than a side note. This should be something that you all burn in your mind. Okay, and make sure you spread the word. When it comes to translations from a source language into a target language, the goal is to transfer meaning. That's why you have the word translation. The word trans mean move, right? So you're moving meaning from a source language into a target language. Now, when it comes to translations, there is a cushion or a range of discretion and flexibility that everyone must have. And the main reason why is because in most languages around the world, within a given language, there is what we call synonyms. And we have synonyms. So if you're translating something from a foreign language into English, you may choose one instance of a word that means something. But the next man or woman, they may choose a synonym of the same word that you chose. Okay, so we have to be flexible in that way. So don't always be rigid and look for the exact translations by different scholars and whatnot, because scholars are not going to all be consistent and have the exact same translations. But it doesn't mean that they're wrong. One is wrong and one is right, or whatever the case is, especially when we're dealing with synonymy. Okay, so remember that. All right, you want to get into, it's almost like the game of darts, throwing darts. Okay, where you have the bullseye, but then you have those other circles around it that you still can get points for. So there's a semantic range for these different words that includes synonyms. All right, so I just want to put that out there and make sure y'all understand that. Okay, so when Donnie gives the perfect God, Lord of the two lands, let's say the next person may say the good God, master of the two regions, because the word Neb means Lord, master, owner, or possessor. This is what I mean by synonymy. And then Tawi, meaning two lands, it's also a synonym for that would be regions, the two regions. And so that would be an acceptable translation as well. But it doesn't, that what I said doesn't match exactly what Donnie said, but we're both in essence saying the same thing, or something similar enough to where we're good to go. Okay, so remember that. Okay. Now we're getting into what's this called? What's this circle, this elongated circle thing called? What's that called? I'm sure everybody knows what that is. What is that called? What is it? What is it? What is it? Shanu. Up, Donnie. There you go again. I'm telling you, boy, Donnie. We're gonna have to get you on the manual decodage. We're gonna have to run you back through the initiation on manual decodage. It's a capital S, Shanu, not a lowercase s. All right. Capital S, capital S, capital S. Shanu. Okay, yeah, Shanu. Okay, so in the Shanu, everyone should know that the Shanu will have the king's name within it. So what name is this? Does anybody recognize the name within this Shanu? And this name will identify this figure. Okay. If we ask the question, who is this figure? We're about to find out. Who is this? What's the name? Now, Chris already identified Ma'at. So we know the name has Ma'at in it. But who can give me the name? Who can give us the name? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. I feel like an auction. Who can give me the name? Anybody? Okay, so Chris has, yep, there we go. On the screen, we have Ma'at Ka Ra. Ma'at Ka Ra. Okay, so Chris done went and did the whole thing. All right, that's good, because we're going to speed things up a bit. All right, so Chris is like, hey, well, Joe, you're going to speed this up a bit, so I'm going to give you the rest. So I see you, Chris. So, yeah, we have Ma'at Karas, but that's the name, Ma'at Kara. And so this is the throne name of Hatshepsut. Okay, Hatshepsut. All right, so this is King Hatshepsut. Her throne name is Ma'at Kara. And that's who this figure is. Now, at the beginning of the show, I told you all that this particular image is coming from the Red Chapel of Hatshepsut. So that, kind of gave you a little clue right there. But this is her throne name, Ma'at Kara. And then, as Chris said, we have Di-Unk Neb. Then we have Ra, then Mi, and Jet. Now, when we transliterate it, we would say Di-Unk Neb Mi Ra Jet. All right? And that flip there is what scholars refer to as honorific transposition. When the name of a king or the name of a deity is transposed, put in the front of a phrase structure out of honor. So they call that honorific transposition. So you is move this position, transposition. Okay? So it's move this position. So altogether we have Netcher, Nefer, Neb, Tawi, Ma'at Kara, Di-Unk, Neb, Mira, Jet. So that's this whole section here. All right? So, Philaitis, to your question, now you should have the answer to your question. You asked about the meaning of this conical bread loaf. It's the word di, which means to give. It's a short form of the word ready, which means to give, to allow, to give. Okay? Okay? Or to give permission, to permit, to give, to allow, things like that. That's what this means. All right. Now, another way of writing this exact word is with an arm and hand with this symbol or this glyph in the hand. You may see it that way as well. That's another way that you may see it. All right. So, okay. So now, having said that, we can see that the same thing is repeated over here for the most part, except we have a different name in the Shanu. So we have Netcher, Nefer, Neb, Tawi. But now we have a different name. So somebody give us this name. Okay, I want to say peace to the sister Renee. Greetings and welcome to the channel. We are having fun freestyling, so feel free to participate and jump on in. Or just sit back and take notes and listen. So, okay, inside the Shanu, again, who can tell me that? I think Donnie has jumped out already, and we have Min Keper Ra. All right, Donnie, you want to change that E to an A? Boy, Donnie. See, here's the thing. This is one of those old time sayings. Either you're all right or you're not right at all. That's what you know. That's one of those old folks, elders would say to us when we're younger. You either all right or you're not right at all. But Donnie, so every point that you've been making, you've been right. But on the technical side, you would get points taken off. And so I'm just gonna keep reminding you because, as you know me, I am anti-enabler, and I want everybody to be crisp and sharp as much as possible. So remember, manual decodage, Min Kepa Ra is correct, but it's Ra, not Re, or with the R-E. Okay? So just remember that. But that's correct, though, Min Kepa Ra. Now, who is this? Like, Min Kepa Ra is the throne name of this individual. Okay, so remember, we now have identified this figure here is Ma'at Kara, which is the throne name of Hatshepsut. So this is a woman. Okay? She's a king. And that's another thing. People need to stop saying Queen Hatshepsut. Don't say that. She is a bona fide king. Okay? Because remember, king technically is not a gender type thing. Like today in our modern constructs, we will say king or queen. But Hatshepsut was king. Okay? Let's not, we don't want to play around with that. All right, a royal wife or the wife of a king, which is Hemet Nasut in the language, Hemet Nasut, which is royal wife or wife of the king. Today we would say that's a queen. But Hatshepsut is not Hemet Nasut in this instance. She's actually the king. Okay, so let's make sure that we are aware of that. We don't want to diminish the women's role in history at all. Okay, nobody's role. Okay, but who is this particular figure here? Who is Min Kepa Ra? Does anybody know the other name, the more popular name that we would know this figure as? Just like Hatshepsut, a lot of people are not familiar with her throne name, Ma'at Kara. A lot of people won't make that connection. Likewise, Min Kepa Ra, who is this? What would be the Sarah name, so to speak, of this particular individual? That's the question. Peace to the sister Mika is in the building, and peace to Ramza. Okay, Renee, no problem at all. And again, welcome. And yeah, just if you just join it, you can always look in the archive and play this back. This is Freestyle Friday. Just real quick, I just want to summarize what Freestyle Friday is. So Fridays we go live, and we're going to be consistent with this again. And what we do on Fridays is Freestyle Friday. And what we do is we pick a picture, as you see on the screen, and we go through the steps of transliterations and translations, but we do so in a freestyle way. Not so much more scientific if we were really doing this. So we're going through all these steps, okay? And I'm just re-showing it on the screen, so in case you want to rewind and take a screenshot of this. These are the steps that we go through, and this is the method, capital THE, the method of transliterations and translating ancient Egyptian texts. Okay, there's no avoiding any of these 4 steps. But because we're freestyling, we're kind of having fun, and we're not using any books. So notice we say no books. We're not allowed to deal with the dictionaries or anything. So it's like a fun exercise to test our knowledge, what we remember and skills. Okay, so just to kind of summarize what Freestyle Friday is. Okay, so now back to it. So did anybody answer my question in terms of who it is? Yep. Okay, Chris says Thutmose. The second question, so he's not sure. That'll be a good guess, and but it's actually Thutmose the third Menkaper. Now you have me guessing, second guessing.
I think it's the third.
Okay, yeah, I do
Because
too.
the
That's
third
all.
was co-origin with Hatshepsut.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. To you and Dua. All right. So, but the fact that he got Thutmose or Jehutimos is correct. All right. So, and then Chris gave the rest of it, which is D Unk. So we have that conical loaf. So Phi Lightentus, if you're still in the chat, that's a conical loaf again. D Unk, which is the word D means to give. On its own, it's a verb meaning to give. We have D Unk, Neb. Then we have Jed Was, Neb. And then we have Mi Ra again. Now it's a bit damaged right here in the corner. You can barely see that disc right there, but that's Ra. So we Mi Ra Jet. Same thing that we had over here. But there's an additional Jed and Was over here that's not over here. Okay? So, and as Chris, I think Chris, did he translate it for everyone? No. So what's the translation? Now we have the transliteration that I have on the screen. Diank Neb, Jed Was Neb, Mira Jet. So altogether it will be Netcher Nefer, Neb Tawi, Min Kepera, Diank Neb, Jed Was Neb, Mira Jet. That would be this whole section here. And it's pertaining to this figure right here. Okay. Now, as I said, when it comes to translations, we have to be flexible because of synonymy. And we know in the English language there's a lot of synonyms. Just open up any thesaurus. Antonyms, synonyms, they exist abundantly. So somebody may translate something slightly different than the next person. And we have to be flexible and be able to accept that. All right. As long as we get the closest meaning that's conveyed, that's the goal. Okay. And there's different ways to say the same thing. And we just want the closest thing to what the intended meaning was. So again, we have Netcher Nefer Neb Tawi, which one translation could be given as earlier was the perfect God, Lord of the two lands, Men Kepera. Then we have the Unk Neb, but I'm waiting for somebody to translate that part. I don't want to just give it all away. All right, so we can move on to the bottom because I want to get to the bottom part here. So Diunk, given all life. Then we have Jed Was, all dominion, all stability and dominion, like Ra, forever. That's what it means. Okay, so now we've done the entire top section here. And now we have also identified these two figures in the process. So now let's move over to this column right here. Now this may be unfamiliar to a lot of people because this is a specific ritual that I spoke of earlier that's taking place here is what we're watching. That involves these 4 items. You see these things right here stacked up, or they're not actually stacked up in space. They're actually side by side from each other. But obviously in the carving, they look like they're on top of each other. But these 4 items right here, I'm not even going to tell you what they are. But this ritual involves these 4 items. In this first column right here, we're going to find out what those 4 items are. So this is when we need the nerds in the chat to start nerding again. So what is the transliteration and or translation, if you know, of this first column right here? I want anybody in the chat to take a stab at it. Anybody in the chat to take a stab at it? Now, there's a lag, so I'm going to keep on talking, but, in the meantime, while I'm waiting, I see Donnie came out with the first word, with an attempt on the first word. But, yeah, I want anyone to take a stab at it. Just real quick, y'all can see the bigger picture, just so you can see, this is where we are. We're dealing with it. I'm zoomed out now, and on here I've zoomed in so that we can see the glyphs a lot better. So I'm waiting for the nerds to nerd. Well, let's get the nerds nerding. Have you nerded today? So yeah, anybody take a stab at it. I'm gonna wait a little while, but then we're gonna keep it rolling. We're gonna get through it. We're gonna get through it. All right, so let me just put these on the screen. What Donnie is suggesting. So Donnie has that. I'm assuming is the first word. Or let's go here. So he has hat hu merit or merit. So far we got Chris has hat merit res cha. Res cha. So that's what Chris has so far. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? Emicat, you wanna nerd tonight? I think Emicat's on vacation. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, Chris is correcting himself on the last word, sachat. All right. Okay, I think enough time has passed by. So all these answers are very, very, very close. They're very close. So, and again, this is Freestyle Friday. Oh, let me give you all a side note. This is also an important side note, FYI side note, that when you're going through this process of transliterating and translating, let me put the steps back up there while I say this. These steps right here. Remember, these two images are the same thing. I just further elaborated on this one. So when you're performing these 4 mandatory steps of transliterating, translating, always remember that you're doing this in passes. So you're going to make several passes of your work. Okay, so just get it out of your mind that you're going to get everything right the first time around. And there's a reason for that. And so the main reason is when you get to step 3 and you're trying to do pattern recognition, you're trying to put the glyphs together to form the words that they're a part of. Sometimes, many times, you're going to make mistakes. So when you, at first glance, your first glance will be assumptions. So it's like a trial and error. So you may group certain glyphs together thinking it's a word. Then when you go to the dictionary to try to find it, you can't find it. So then you have to go back to your image and then include or exclude glyphs that you're looking at that make up the word. And then go back to the dictionary and so on. So there's going to be several passes that you are going to be doing. And this goes for everybody. The best of the best do that. So it's not something that is belittling at all. That's just, it is what it is. Okay. So just remember, keep that in mind. So we will be doing this in passing. So now I say that because between Donnie and Chris, these are, best guesses at the moment. And you always refine what you're doing. And because this is freestyle, we're not using books, it just makes it more challenging. Okay. So I guess Chris has a second pass because he's actually speaking to exactly what I'm saying. He has hat fedu meret sachat. So let me just point out. All right, I'm gonna lift this up a bit, just so that when I put the comment up, it doesn't block. It doesn't block the glyphs. Okay, so let's break this down because I think enough time has gone by. Now, this first word right here is tricky, and I will say this: me personally, I know about this from the past. Like a few years ago, I have already, familiarized myself with this particular ritual. Okay, and the other one that we went over last Friday. The other one last Friday was a ritual rite called driving the four calves in the temple. Okay, this ritual rite is related to it. And I've already familiarized myself with it years ago because of something that I was researching, and I came across this, and I had to look further into it, et cetera, et cetera. And I was going to do an actual presentation on it, but never got around to do it, a live presentation on it, but never got around to do it for doing it. But I'm saying that to say that prior to me taking a deep dive, years ago, I would not have recognized this first word, off the top of my head or anything like that. Even though I know what these glyphs are and everything, and I would have the same outcome as Donnie and Chris, hot. But this is actually not the word hot. It's the word, and like I said, so it's no fault because this is the way this is written is tricky because it's a ritual. So the scribes got a little playful with the way that they would write different words that are common to certain rites and rituals. Okay, so just bear that in mind as as you do these studies as well. Okay, this particular word is the word hoot. Okay, hoot, and it's hoot ah, or hoot with the this arm here, hoot ah. And that particular word is a word for striking. And it would make sense. Let me just remove the comment now. It would make sense to pull this back down. It would make sense, or it should make sense to you now, because this gesture that this figure that we now know is Hatshepsut or Kara, Ma'at Kara, she is holding an instrument in the hand in the striking position. Okay? So this word is a word that deals with striking something. Hut'ah. All right? And let me put the comment back up. So the next thing Chris has is fedu. All right, so fedu, obviously, let me push this back up a bit. Chris is taking fedu, these 4 strokes, because the word fedu is the number 4. Okay, it's the number 4 in the in the Egyptian language. But now, Chris, you probably assumed that this circle was damaged, like how this circle is a piece of is damaged, but this is not damaged. So this is an actual glyph that you if you assume that this was damaged, it's not. And how you know that it's not damaged is because of how aesthetically pleasing this forms a quadrant. That this couldn't be damaged because they wouldn't write these 4 strokes over to the left like that if this glyph wasn't intentionally put here. Okay, so and I'm just assuming that you may have thought that was damaged, but what could what could have prevented you from thinking that way, if you thought that way, is because of this aesthetics of this quadrant right here. It's a nice, evenly spaced. They wouldn't put the 4 strokes off to the side like that. Okay, so we gotta remember that. Okay, so this is the word. Yep, and Emiket has it right, correct. Sep fedu. Okay, and the word sep is the same as saying times, like how many times to do something. How many times to do something. So far, based on what I said so far, so we had the word strike, the verb to strike, to hit, to strike. By it having a T on there, like I said, I'm not doing a grammar class or a whole class, but this is the word striking instead of strike as a naked verb, infinitive to strike. It's a striking. So it's striking 4 times. So sep fedu. The striking 4 times. All right, so what else? Let's see, what did Chris have? Let me put the yeah, we scrutinizing Chris tonight. Then he has moret. All right, so let's go to that, make sure. So or the word, or R, people pronounce it as E-R, air, or and moret, that's correct. But what does that mean? Now, like I said, I'm not trying to go too in depth with grammar or anything like that, but just to put that out there to you all, that the word or is a preposition in the language, and any linguist should tell you this, that prepositions are one of the hardest group or word class of words to translate from one language to another in any one-to-one or exact way. But as long as you know it's a preposition, then you should be fine. So this or as a preposition could have a few possible meanings. It could mean to, towards, pertaining to, pertaining, and even at. At. Okay, as one of the possibilities. So far, if we choose at, it will say, we would so far say striking 4 times at. Okay, and then merit. The whole, the mouth, and the breadloaf spells the word meret. Let me pull these back down. Okay, so we have meret. So what does meret mean? Does anybody know that so far? Let me just go back to the chat real quick. Oh, and Chris is right about that too. Also means against as well. All right, and remember synonymy. So to strike against something is also to strike at it. As well. So, always keep that in mind. Like I said, in translations, we got to be flexible. All right. No need to argue about that flexibility. Does anybody know what meret means? Remember, we're not using any books and everything right now either. I just want to know if anybody knows off the top. And I'm giving you all clues because of last week. Last week, when I addressed a similar ritual, a ritual rite that connects to this one, I made mention of this one last week, and even in the video where we addressed our good brother Reggie. Okay, so Donnie proposes beloved, and the word is feminine. So beloved, feminine. Okay, Chris is saying something sledge. Okay. Ramza, what is Ramza? She says, but again, almost all owls do is attack and reproduce. Okay. Ramza, sometimes I'm like, are you watching the same thing? Um, okay, so I'm just gonna let you all know what this is. All right, because I don't want it. Like I said, I don't want to take too much time. And again, you all can definitely revisit this video. But the word meret here is the word chest. Chest. Because remember last week I gave you all the hints in the world. I said that the driving of the four calves in the temple ritual or rite is related to the another ritual dealing with the merit chests, the four merit chests. If y'all remember the four merit chests, and that's what these objects are. These are chests. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so these four chests is what this word is. Merit. Chest. All right, so just take a note of that. And then the last word, Chris is correct. I done lost his comment. So he had Sesh, excuse me, not Sesh, Sachat. The word Sachat. Okay, and that is correct. But now what does it mean? So I'm just asking the question out there again. What does anybody know what Sachat means? It's not a common word that we run into, so I would actually be surprised if anyone knew what it meant. And I think Chris got it. To drag. Yep. And that's what it means. So now that we have all the words and its meanings, what's a better, more smoother translation for this particular column here? Can somebody type it out? Now that we have all the words, we have hut a, sepfedu, meret, sachat. What does all that mean? What's a smoother translation of that? Ramses says, are chests the same as vases or vases? The answer is no. Nope. These are chests. Yep. They're not the same. All right. So that's a short, skinny answer. They're not the same. These chests, just so you'll know a little bit more about the ritual rite, these chests contain materials. They contain the cloth or linen inside them, and it was known that they were different colors. There were 4 different colors, and they represent the 4 cardinal points. In one aspect, this rite represents the 4 cardinal points of the king's domain, of the domain of the ancient Egyptians' world. So we had north, south, east, and west. And each of those cardinal points were figuratively given a color. And it represented the domain in which the king was responsible for, to maintain ma'at, to make sure that the deities were acknowledged and represented, all that good stuff. And I'm being very brief, but that's part of the ritual. And remember, this ritual rite is one of many rituals and rites that the king performed during the Zed festival to show competency to continue to rule. So here we see Hatshepsut, or Ma'at Ka-Ra. She's actually performing this rite ritual of dragging the merit chest. Okay? So remember, my question was, what's a good smooth translation of this first column? So let me just see if if anybody has given it. I think Donnie, this is your attempt. Excuse me. The fourth festival of dragging the sledge. Nope, not quite. They're not sledges. They're on sledges, but the word sledge itself is not in here. So it's the meted chest, but they're dragged whenever they move something. I don't know if you notice when you see the glyphs and you see the illustrations where they're moving colossal statues and things like that, they have them on a sledge that glides and slides on the ground, and that's what you see at the base of these chests right here. All right, but the word itself is not in here. Okay, so just so you know. And Chris has striking against the dragged chest. Okay, that's close. And then he said, okay, Donnie says fourth year. Nope. No, so Donnie, don't that sep is not year. It means times, like how many times you're gonna do something. So 4 times. So remember, the word is hut, from the word hui, which means to strike, to hit. And so you're hitting or striking 4 times at or against the merit chest that can be dragged. Okay? So don't confuse sep in this instance with the word sep being attached to the word hat sep, which is the word for when we're dealing with the calendars and things like that. So don't confuse that. Okay, so Chris has striking 4 times against the drag chest. Yep, that's really good, and that's close, and that's acceptable. But now a more smoother translation, the word sachat, although it literally, the naked meaning in the verb itself would be to drag, but because something is associated with being dragged, a better translation would be transportable, or that which can be dragged. And we just wouldn't say it that way. So a better and this will be something I would propose as a translation. So it's the striking 4 times at or against the transportable merit chest. That's what this is saying. Okay. And again, I'm already acquainted with this rite and ritual already. So, it's kind of not fair on the freestyle a bit. But that's what the translation would be. Okay, transportable, that which can be dragged. All right. Okay, so now next one. Let's kind of we can go through these one very quickly. So anybody can just give me the next column here. The next column. What do we have? All right, see, Donnie was already ready. So let's put I'm gonna have to slide this up so that we're not blocking any of the glyphs. Okay, so Donnie has Sa'unk. Okay, so Donnie, what I want you to do, and I know it seems like I'm being a stickler for this, but I have to be because I'm anti-enabler and whatever the case is. So we have to do you have to retype that with manual decodage. And I know some of it is, but some of it is wrong. Even if you have the word that I know that you're correct, but we got to make sure that we're correct. All right, we have to make sure that we're correct. So just clean it up a little bit. Just retype it, Donnie, and I'll put it on the screen. Okay. That first word is right, is sa. That's correct. I'm just gonna wait until I see you switch it up a bit, Donnie. Well, I mean, just if you clean it up, I'm gonna keep on going because I mean, you can see it. So we have sa, and then we have unk. So we have sa unk, jed, was, and then, and that's where we kind of depart. Okay, Donnie said I don't want to hold the show. I'm not sure. Okay. Anybody else? But that's correct. So we have sa unk, jed. So sa unk, jed, not sa unk, but sa unk, jed. Then we have was. And because I'm gonna kind of speed this along a bit, I'm just gonna go through it, okay? Just so y'all know, and you can rewind. Let me take the comment off the screen, pull this back down to where we were. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through it. So we have sa, unk, jed, was. We have seneb. See, we have the folded cloth, water ripple, and the bee. So we have seneb. Okay, everybody got that? Then we have the word ha, s, and then neb. All right. So everybody got that. So one more time. So we have sa unk, jed, was, seneb, ha, s, neb. So anybody could tell me what that means? And indicate if you're there and you're typing in the chat, based on what I said, could you type the proper transliteration for that? Okay, so MK has that. Let me just highlight it. I just want everybody to see that. All right. Okay, so let us. All right, now translate it. So we have the word sa means to protect, protection. So we have unk, life, jed is stability, wasp is dominion, seneb is health, and then ha is the word to be behind, behind something. And then neb is, in this case, is the word all, not neb as in the word Lord, but neb as in all. Now, when written like this, neb coming last is the word for all, but it's all that's pertaining to all the above. So a translation, a proposed translation would be the protection of all life, stability, dominion, and health is behind her. See, ha-es, behind her. And so that confirms that this particular king, Ma'at Kara, is a woman, and we know that this to be Hatshepsut. Okay, so the protection of all life, stability, dominion, and health is behind her. Okay, so remember that. Moving on to the next column to kind of move things along. Does anybody want to take a stab at that real quick? The next column. Anybody? Anybody?
I think Donnie has something.
Okay. I didn't see it. Oh, I see it. So I see Chris and Donnie both. All right, so we're gonna deal with the first come first serve. All right, Chris has Eret Senetcher in Amun Ra. So I gotta move this up. Okay, so let's check. So we have Eret Senetcher. Now what's interesting about this word, that's correct. So we have Senetcher. Notice that the word Netcher is in front. And this is another case of what scholars call honorific transposition. Okay, Senetcher. But it's spelled out. We have Senetcher. This glyph here is sin. And then we have the TCH sound of this tethering rope. Ch, as in the word church. And then R. The open mouth is the consonant R. So Senetcher. Then we had the 3 dots for the determinative. These are dealing with Senetcher. Then we have in, then we have Amen, and then Ra. Now I want you to notice something else that's interesting. So first was the honorific transposition I want to point out. The next thing I want to point out is Amen is backwards. This particular word Amen is backwards in Amen Ra. The reed leaf is over here on the left hand side. So we would normally read this one from left to right. But all the other glyphs are from right to left. So why is that? And so if you're familiar with our last show, I think I had to point this out. Now what you can't see inside of this image, even if I move it around, is the deity Amun Ra. Now what this indicates is that Amun Ra, the deity, in this particular image, but it's cropped right here, is actually facing to the left. So they're looking, see, remember, this figure, they're looking to the right. But Amun Ra is over here looking to the left. So because the name Amun Ra here is pertaining to Amun Ra that's over here on the that's out of this crop picture, this referring to this particular deity. Okay, so keep that in mind. So this, I went over this before. But anyway, so we have Eret Senetcher in Amun Ra. So that is absolutely correct. So what does it mean? What does it mean? Okay, and I think Chris gives a stab at it. Presenting incense to Amun Ra. Okay. That's definitely acceptable. Yep.
It's interesting because that's what the image or the big determinatives kind of show.
Yep, and yep, exactly. So we can see this particular individual figure is presenting incense. This is the incense that's burning here in their hand. So this their hand, but then this is an instrument with a falcon head at one end and then a bowl at the other end that has incense inside of it and is burning, and they're usually fanning it for it to burn. And these little droplets here is in preparation, so it lends meaning to what Chris was saying, presenting incense or preparing, because the word eret or ir means to do. As a naked verb, it means to do. Ir, to do, to create, to make. And so we can, again, synonymy, we can say to prepare, to do, to prepare, to make, to create, and so on and so forth. All right. So that's all acceptable. And so that's it. Now moving on to the last column, and we will be done. Anybody want to take a stab at the last column? And I will send you all on your way, hopefully peacefully, but we're going to deal with the last one. And I think Donnie is definitely jumped out. All right, good. So what does Donnie have? Donnie has win in F, Kent. Yeah, Donnie, we're gonna have a special show just for you with the manual decodage. Cause you're still doing the H, the transliteration method. Change that H to an X. But regardless, you have win in F, Kent, and then you have a question mark, Unku, and you have that K in there. Um, so you have that's different. That's you gotta fix that. And then Neb. All right. Matter of fact, let me raise this up because I don't want to block that from the comments. Okay. So yeah, Donnie. So Donnie, that's good, but you definitely have to fix your transliteration. Okay. All right. So we got to definitely fix that. Let's see what Chris has. Chris up next. Win F, Kent, Chaut, Uncle Neb. Okay, that's good. All right, that's good. Okay, so let's break it down. Let's break it down. Now this first word, win in F. Um, Now I don't expect everybody to know this at all. To really know this unless we take a trip down grammar lane. But this particular rendition of when is the word win and not win in F. So this will be win F, not win in F. Okay, that's just a minor change in detail that we have to understand. But this is win F. Because if it was win in F, it would be two water ripples there. And I'm sure, some of you all may have seen it that way. But this is win F. And then we have Kent here. Then Kau. And then we have Uncle Neb. And that's correct. So what does it mean? Does anybody want to take a shot at what it means? Anybody want to take a shot? And this is the last. Oh, Chris is saying he is there. Oh, okay. So Chris is saying he is there before all the people and workers. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. No, hey, that's a that's a good first a good first guess. I mean, I can understand why you did it that way. Uh,
Mm.
let's see what Donnie has. Hourly priest offering of life to the Lord. Wow. No, these are good, good first around freestyle guesses. So
Could you
so
say
Emicat, you wanna give a shot because this is the last one. So
yeah,
we're gonna
since
leave
it's the last one.
we're gonna leave this one to Emicat. Oh.
Oh boy.
Yep. There you go, Emicat.
Okay. I'm thinking when F Kenty will be he is first or foremost,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
you have Kau. Actually, I'm not gonna translate that. Probably that's Kau of the Ka foremost of the Kau, and then of the living Kau of all the
Okay.
living Kau. Sorry, because there's Neb at the end. Nebu, sorry, it's Nebu. Yeah. So when an F, Kenti will be he is foremost of all the living cow.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. That's good. That's good. Now, Ka is traditionally translated as spirit. So with that in mind, we could say spirits. So the word when means to exist. So he exists foremost or in front of all living spirits. All right. So there you have it, everybody. and I think that was good. That's a good freestyle session. So hopefully everybody will burn these steps in your psyche, in your mind. Take a screenshot of this. Take a screenshot of this. Both of these are saying the same thing. This one and this one. It's just that on this second one, maybe the second one is better. The second one, I included the tools that you're going to use for each step. So make sure you definitely commit that to memory as far as the steps are concerned. And also a takeaway is not only did we just, kind of go through those steps in a freestyle way, but also now you should know about this ritual rite. It's called the consecration of the 4 merit chests. That's what the ritual is called overall. In the scene, we're seeing the striking 4 times against or at the transportable merit chest or draggable merit chest. Okay, that's what this ritual is about. And maybe we can do a whole show to kind of elaborate just on this ritual rite itself. And kind of read some scholarship on it. But anyway, there you have it. And let me go back to the bigger picture. So you can see over here, I could blow this one up now that we can see more of it. As you can see over here, we have Amun-Ra, okay, Lord of the Sky, right here. It's damaged here at the very top, but we can still make it out. We have Amun-Ra, Lord of the Sky, or Neb-Pet, Lord of the Sky, etc.
He is given all life.
Okay. Yep. He gives all life. So they're facing this one. Remember I said these figures over here are facing the other way. So that's why you have Amun down here, or Amun-Ra down here, backwards. It's facing the same way that these figures over here are. Okay, so remember that. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Are there any questions? So let's briefly, I'll just scan the chat. Are there any questions? While we do that, so we have Dianc F, the Neb, may he give all life. Then we have Amun-Ra, Neb-Pet, Lord of the Sky. What else can we make out over here? Drag this over a bit. Indicate if you can monitor the chat, make sure see if any questions pop up. So over here we have the word. I'm just doing this for the sake of this recording and it being an archive, so people can check into this stuff further. So remember, we have Dianc F, Neb, Amun-Ra, Neb-Pet. So may he give all life, and then Amun-Ra, who's the Lord of the Sky. Over here we have what looks like Sakah or Sakat. We have Sakat, M, and then we have this particular word here, which is the Wasek. This glyph here, Wasek. And we have a T, so we have Wasekt. And then over here we have look like Nebut, but this looks a little bit damaged. I would first assume this is Nebut, but after looking further into it, for it to make sense, if it does make sense. But Sakah would be the word. Ka would be appearance, and Sakah would be to make cause or causal. So it's the causal prefix. So it's to cause to appear. So causing the appearance. And then I'm not sure exactly what this is off the top of my head, but it's causing the appearance in some place or something. We got M, which is a preposition for in. Okay, in, and then whatever this is. So that would be something I would have to look up because I don't know that off the top of my head. So that would be an example of that.
So it will be in all of that type of place with Nabet at the end.
Yeah, if this is Nibet, yep. But I know this is wasek and then T wasect. So whatever that would be. And so I would definitely look that up. So that would be there. The only other glyphs that we see is this right here. So we have Jed Medew Sep Fedu. So we have that again. Jed Medew Sep Fedu. And then we have E Netcher. Then we have Sa Ta Sep 2. Okay, so that's all the glyphs here. And we know Jed Medew, everybody should know what that is. That is words spoken. Or another way to say is to recite or recitation, or words spoken. So we can say words spoken, but you speak them 4 times. So evidently, these glyphs are going next to these figures down here. So these figures are marching or moving this particular boat or vessel that represents Amen, Ra, and there must be saying something 4 times. So word spoken 4 times. And then it says, E Netcher, the deity or the God is coming or has come. Okay, and then Sa Ta, we have Sa Ta, and then Sep, and then 2. Sa Ta Sep 2. And so Sa will be the word I would assume at first, without further checking out, I would assume at first the Sa would be protect the land, or Ta could be region or earth. Even though the ancient Egyptians, they didn't have a concept of the, like continent, like how we have today and stuff. But protection or protect the earth, and then it says 2 times. All right, so that's it. What, any questions? Yeah, Chris has making an appearance. Yep. To cause to appear was sec. Now, just out of curiosity, so that concludes the freestyle. So now we're gonna switch because I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave this. This will bother me for the rest of the night. So let's look this up right here because I want to know to cause to appear in something. So let's figure this out real quick. So Emmy Cat, I know you quick on the trigger. Anybody have their dictionary? Can crack it open. Let's crack them open. Crack them open. Crack them open. Crack them open. Anybody? MK, you crack.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that figure first. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. Let's see how quick Chris or Donnie can whip out the.
Okay, so I think I'm looking in the glyph list and I see Wesiket. Looks like that's it. Wesiket, which is like a hole.
Okay.
But let me go and look it up in the dictionary as well.
All right. Let's see what we come up with before we depart. We want to make sure everybody leaves satisfied. Yep, yep. Jed Medew Sep Fedu E Netcher Sa Ta Sep 2 is what you could.
Yes. So Wesakit is a hall or a court.
Okay, so in the court. All right.
And for those interested, it is the O15 glyph.
Okay, now it makes sense. Okay, so this is not so. Okay, I need to blow this up. That's the problem. It makes sense. Let me blow this up some more since we're dealing with that portion. All right, so now I can see this. So this is not Nebet. This is Hebit.
Yes, I thought so. That's the W3. Once we said court, I was
Yep.
like, that makes sense. And it has the circle inside. It's kind of small. You can't see, but
Yeah. Yeah,
you
we can
can
see it
see
now.
now. So that's the
Right there.
alabaster. Yep.
Yes.
Makes
So
sense.
this is the festival court. That's what this is. Festival court was Sek Habit, the festival court. So now it makes sense. So to make appear in the festival court, and there we have it. To cause to appear in the festival court. And then down here we have so yeah, we already did this one. All right, so there we go. That's it. Do me a favor, since you have the dictionary open, look up sa ta together like that. Sa, and then see if there's a phrase in the dictionary together like that. Because that seems like it could be an idiom, an Egyptian idiom for something. Sa ta.
Yes, we do have there's a different sa but different glyphs per something. I think it means the earth's surface.
The earth's surface.
Yeah, there's a sartar for snake.
No,
There's a
no. Look for the glyph that's exactly match this first.
okay, so the core.
Remember, that's where we start at. We got to start with what we actually see. Then we can go around. So you want to look up that particular glyph for Sa. We want to find what we see first, and go from there.
Okay, with what we see where there's sa and then ta with the determinatives for ta, the tongue line. It is a question mark on it though, but it says reverence. So I'm gonna have to look at it, look for it in another dictionary,
Okay.
'cause just as it is new. So give me a moment.
Okay. So Sa is what garden code is that? V16.
Um, yeah, V16.
Okay. So V16. Cause I'm gonna look very quickly. So again, I don't want this to be any dead space. I'm just gonna keep on talking. I can't see the chat right now because I'm actually looking up this particular because I don't want to leave that one for chance either. But again, I appreciate everybody tuning in. We are definitely winding down. I'm gonna leave you all hopefully satisfied as you all came. And
Oh,
um, oh,
now
so
see,
now you
I
see
I
something.
did, yeah, I did actually find the whole, uh, just the whole E Netcher Sata, which means here
Okay,
comes God performing the Sata ritual funerary procession, in brackets, in
o-
parentheses.
okay. So say that. Do it. Say it again.
E Netcher Sata is here comes the God performing the Sata ritual or the funerary procession.
Okay. Well, there you have it. All right. So that's it. Excellent. Now, see, obviously, freestyle. Things that we're not as familiar with. These are things that we won't go into often. So we won't. It's not something that we would know. But that's good. So and you said you found that you went to another dictionary to find that, and where was that?
No, no, that was in Vigus. So Vigus, the latest version, I think it's 2018, page 1225.
Okay, 1225.
Yeah.
Okay,
So yes, it was there.
all right. So there you are. Um. Okay, so that's it. So there we have it. Let me get back to the chat. Where's my chat? Where's my chat? All right. So that concludes Freestyle Friday, everybody. So listen, I appreciate it. It's nice to see people participate. Spread the word. If you know anybody who's studying the language who may or may not be a beginner or novice, um, everybody's welcome. Even if people get rusty, because you snooze, you lose. If you don't use it, you lose it, as they always say. So even if people have learned this stuff years ago, people may want to sharpen the skills, have some fun, hang out, because it's not too many people that deal with this kind of stuff. So when you find people that study the language, because a lot of people are fascinated with ancient Egypt, you know that people like that come a dime a dozen. Everybody's fascinated with Egypt. Egypt is on the minds of a lot of people. But to take a dive to go further and learn the language, because remember, language is the DNA of culture, and people who actually want to learn more about the Egyptian culture and what made them do what they've done, that people are so you know wowed about, the ancient Egyptian culture and it's the mystery of it and everything like that. You have to take a deeper dive. To become intimate with the culture, you have to go through the language. You have to learn the language. Now, the degree in which you learn the language is going to directly reflect the degree of intimacy that you're going to have with the culture. And then, to each his own. People may be not as curious as others, and people may want to just touch on the surface, and that's fine. There's no judging or no blame being tossed around or shaming of anybody. With that, people will learn to the extent that they want to learn, and that's fine. Um, Now, it's a difference when people want to start arguing and debating, and see that always changes things. When people start to argue and debate and fuss about stuff, then you have to raise the bar. Now you're expected. Okay, you are gonna have to actually take deeper dives if you want to try to debate and argue and fuss and stuff with people about things. That changes things. But outside of that, listen, depending on how far you want to learn, or how far or how curious you are, that's going to be the level of the deep dive that you go. Okay. So with me, I advocate people to learn the language. Learning the language is going to directly reflect your intimacy with the culture. Hands down. And it goes for anything, not just Egypt, anything. If you wanted to learn Islamic culture, guess what? You got to learn Arabic. If you want to learn Hebraic culture, Jewish culture, guess what? You got to learn Hebrew. That's just it. That's just the bottom line. If you want to go to South America, to Brazil, you want to learn about Brazilian culture and ways and stuff, guess what? You're going to have to learn, what language is in Brazil? Portuguese. I think Portuguese is the main language in Brazil. Somebody can correct me, if I'm wrong with that. But the point still stands. You're going to have to learn the language, because language is the DNA of culture. Okay? It's the witness to the history and the mentality. That's the thing. It records the psyche of the people. All right. So with that, do I have anything else? MK, you have anything you want to close out on?
No, that was pretty good. There's some new interesting glyphs that are, that were good to learn, especially like with omissions. That was kind of sneaky. But other than that, I think I like this, so we just definitely gonna keep doing that, freestyling.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna keep it up. We're gonna do our best to be consistent on Fridays, and we'll pick something else. Pick something else up next Friday. All right. So I appreciate everybody tuned in, and remember, if you want to support, we are definitely going to move forward and set something up where people want to support, because I know I've been asked quite a bit about that, and we've just never set things up like that in terms of Cash App, super chats, and things like that. So the way that any and everybody can always support, though, even before we set those things up, is to purchase the books that we have published, from the beginner's book, the penmanship book, the rebuttal book. Okay. And I am currently working on a full synchronic grammar, descriptive grammar of Old and Middle Egyptian. Okay. And I don't even have an ETA of when it's going to be published, because, I've been working on it off and on, more off than on. And so, I have taken it back up, and that's an important project that I want to finish. And so I will be publishing that in the future. So that, I will definitely keep everybody up to date on that. But not anytime soon, but it will be in the future. 2025, I'm trying to, next year. Okay. A full on grammar. So it's going to be, it's a project. So that's what I'll be working on. But we will be setting up something. So don't be surprised if we'll be setting up something as far as support. All right. Because we could use some reference material, some very expensive reference material. There's books out there. There's volumes of books out there that cost like $500, $700, that are research, reference, scholarly works that you normally would have to go to the library to, can't even take it home, check out. You got to read at the library and things like that, unless you purchase it from the publisher. So things like that. That's the things that we would be looking forward to doing, and we got a little bit of information and present it to everybody, and everybody can learn. All right. So oh yeah, appreciate that. Yes, that's correct. Today is the 9th. Yep, appreciate that, Mika. She said change August 2nd on the screen. She said 2035. Mika done jumped into the future, but it is August 9th. So you're right. And I always like to keep that on the screen so that when people see the thumbnail, and I probably have to change that on the video so that we can all be in sync with the days. But this has been Freestyle Friday. Been your host and co-host Wujao and Sonet Emiket, and appreciate everybody tuned in. And I'll see you all next week. All right. And remember, if y'all have any suggestions, y'all want to give us pictures, join our Facebook group. Emiket, if you could put the Facebook link in the chat real quick. Join the Facebook group. Not DM, what do you call it in Facebook? Message me. Just message me on Facebook. Same name, Wujao or Emiket. If you want to send us an image, a picture, or questions, or whatever the case is. My email, wujao@gmail.com. You got emiketaku@gmail.com as well. Okay? So appreciate everybody tuned in, and I'll see you all next week. And this is our old intro, outro from the Sesh. Y'all enjoy, and I'll see y'all next week.